you a family caregiver and is your loved one getting close to the end and you just don't know what to do, how to get them to eat and drink? Well, listen in today because I'm Nurse Karen and I'm going to help you understand what to do for their best. After 30 years of working as a registered nurse, taking care of hundreds of different older adults and hospice patients, I have lots of experience dealing with those last days. And oftentimes what happens is people will slow down their eating. And if you look back and think back over the previous months to weeks, usually you'll realize, oh, I saw a gradual decline in how much they were taking in. And it is so gradual that a lot of times you don't realize that it's actually happening. And then you'll also see, as you get closer to the end, a decrease in how much they're drinking. And I see lots and lots of comments about, what do I do? My loved one's not eating, they're not drinking. I've got to get them to eat. What's the secret? How do I get more fluids in? And actually, if they're at the end of life, you actually want them to control how much they're taking in. And if that means they don't eat, that's okay. You're not going to cure them of what's coming anyway. So what we want to focus on is comfort. And comfort for someone that is dying and in their last days means actually not eating and not drinking for a lot of people. And what happens is that if you try to get them to eat when they no longer feel that urge to eat, they will end up with pain in their stomach, or even worse, they'll end up throwing that food back up. It could get in their lungs. But even if it doesn't get in their lungs, just that discomfort of having food coming back up is terrible for people. And that worst case scenario is that it got in their lungs and it's called aspiration and they end up with pneumonia. And that is a terrible, terrible way to have their last days. So it still can be treated. It's not the end of the world, but you want to try to avoid that. And the other thing to think about is that lots of fluids, if they're not swallowing well and that fluid gets in their lung, you're back to that aspiration pneumonia. And what aspiration pneumonia ends up is that you've got a foreign body that gets in their lungs and then an infection starts. And so now they've got pneumonia and now they're going to have problems with breathing and shortness of breath, and they're not going to feel comfortable and they're going to have breathing issues. And so the cure for that is actually lots of morphine to keep them comfortable. And that's okay if that's where they're at, but let's try to avoid that by not trying to get people to eat when they're no longer hungry and not giving them liquids when they're no longer safe to drink. We, when we're young and healthier, think, oh, I could never go without liquids. I could never, my mouth would be dry. I'd be feeling hungry. I'd have those pains in my stomach. But God has made us wonderfully to not be uncomfortable in the dying process if we will just listen to our bodies and not interfere. So don't go get an IV for your loved one. Let the process happen naturally so that they can be comfortable, and it will help them to have a better death, and it will help you to not have a lot of extra work from creating problems that just don't need to be there. If you want more information about how to be a great caregiver, check out my other videos. And I am on a mission to help people be the best caregiver possible for their older loved ones so that we can all have good last moments together.